Let me ask you something that will make your heart skip for a second. What if I told you that whether or not you're good in bed has almost nothing to do with how many moves you know, how wild you can get, or how many men you've been with, and everything to do with how you make someone feel when they're with you? Because here's the truth: most people confuse being good in bed with being performative. They think it's about pulling out tricks, being adventurous, being a porn star. But if you ask the men who have truly fallen in love, the men who can't stop thinking about that one woman even years later, it's never about the tricks. It's about the experience. It's about how she made him feel. That's what defines being truly unforgettable in intimacy. And today I want to walk you through 10 signs that you are not just good in bed, you are extraordinary in bed. And don't get me wrong, these aren't gimmicks. These are the real markers of a woman who understands how to connect, how to seduce, and how to leave a man aching for more long after the night is over. The first sign you are good in bed is that you are present. It might sound too simple, but presence is everything. When you're not thinking about how you look or whether you're doing it right or if your body is perfect in this position, you're actually able to immerse yourself in the moment. And when you're present, your energy shifts. You moan because you feel it, not because you think you should. You touch him not because you want to impress him, but because you genuinely crave him. That's intoxicating to a man. He can feel the difference between a woman who is distracted and a woman who is lost in him. And when you're lost in him, he loses himself in you. That's presence. That's the first sign. The second sign is responsiveness. A man who feels like you're reacting to him, that his touch actually moves you, feels like he's winning. You don't have to fake it. You just have to allow yourself to show it. When you gasp when he kisses your neck, when you arch your back instinctively because his hand found the right spot, when you look at him like you can't believe how good it feels, that's responsiveness. It tells him what you're doing matters. You're affecting me. And let me tell you, that's one of the most powerful things you can give a man in bed, the sense that his presence and his touch have an impact. The third sign is curiosity. Most women are so afraid of looking inexperienced that they hide their curiosity. But curiosity is sexy. It means you're willing to explore, to try to ask, to learn his body the way no one else ever has. Maybe you whisper, "Do you like that?" Or you try something new with your hands, or you kiss him somewhere unexpected just to see how he reacts. Curiosity makes intimacy playful. It shows him you're not just lying there passively, but actively exploring him. That's not only exciting for him, but it bonds him to you because he feels like you want to know him, his body, his responses, his desires. And that is magnetic. The fourth sign is confidence in your own pleasure. Here's where so many women go wrong. They think being good in bed is about pleasing the man. But the truth is, the sexiest women are the ones who own their pleasure unapologetically. When you know what you like, when you're not shy to guide him, when you can say, "Yes," right there, or move your body in the way that gets you what you need. That's confidence. And men love it. Not just because it takes the pressure off them, but because it shows you value yourself enough to receive. That's incredibly alluring. And ironically, when you focus on your pleasure, you make him feel more powerful, not less, because he sees that he can make you feel alive. And that is the ultimate turn on. The fifth sign is variety of expression. Being good and doesn't mean being loud or over the top. It means allowing yourself to express your desire in multiple ways. Sometimes it's through sound, sometimes it's through movement, sometimes it's through silence and the way you look at him. It's the way you grab his back when he hits the right rhythm, the way you breathe heavier when you're turned on, the way your legs pull him closer without a word. Men notice all of that. And the more you allow your body to speak, the more he feels like he's unlocking parts of you no one else has. That is what keeps him coming back. Now, I want to stop here because this is important. Notice how none of these first 5 signs are about acrobatics or wild tricks. They're not about being someone you're not. They're about being deeply connected to yourself, to him, to the moment. And if you master even these first 5, you're already better in bed than 90% of people out there. But there are 5 more signs that separate good from unforgettable, and they're the ones that truly change the game. So let's go deeper now. We've talked about the first 5 signs, and if you already saw yourself in those, that's a powerful start. But there are 5 more that take things from "she's really good in bed" to "I'll never forget her." These are the signs that make a man think about you long after you've left that make him crave you not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, almost addictively. And when you understand these, you stop being just another chapter in his story. You become the story. The sixth sign you're good in bed is that you create anticipation. See, the best lovers don't rush. They know that excitement is built in the moments before. When you tease him a little, when you let your lips hover but not touch, when your fingers trail just enough to make him shiver, but not enough to satisfy, you're building tension. And tension is everything. If you jump right to the end, you rob both of you of the most powerful part of sex, the build-up. A woman who knows how to slow down, to savor, to let him H for it is unforgettable, because anticipation is half the pleasure. The seventh sign is emotional availability. This doesn't mean you have to be in love to be good in bed. It means you allow your emotions to come through in the moment. Maybe it's the tenderness when you kiss him. Maybe it's the way you whisper his name. Maybe it's the way you hold him afterward instead of pulling away. Men may not talk about it. Crave emotional intimacy just as much as physical intimacy. And when you give him that, when he feels like you're not just a body but a soul meeting his soul, that experience becomes imprinted in his memory. You're not just good in bed, you're unforgettable in bed. The eighth sign is adaptability. Every man is different. What worked with one won't necessarily work with another. A woman who is good in bed pays attention. She notices when his breath changes, when his grip tightens, when his eyes close, when he moans a little louder, she adjusts. She's not rigidly attached to one script. She flows with him. Maybe tonight he needs it slow and sensual. Maybe tomorrow he's craving wild and passionate. You sense that, you feel it, you adapt to it. And that makes him feel like with you, intimacy is never routine. It's always alive, always new. The ninth sign is that you aren't afraid of intimacy outside the bedroom. This might sound surprising, but hear me out. Being good in bed isn't only about what happens under the sheets. It's about how you build the connection everywhere else. The way you kiss him in public like he's the only man in the world, the way you touch his arm while he's driving, the way you whisper something naughty in his ear when no one's watching. All of these moments prime him. They remind him that you're a sensual woman who's comfortable with intimacy. By the time you get to the bedroom, you've already set the stage. A woman who understands this becomes irresistible because she makes intimacy a lifestyle, not just an act. And finally, the 10th sign, and this is the one that separates good from extraordinary, is that you leave him better than you found him. What does that mean? It means that after being with you, he feels more confident, more desired, more masculine, more alive. You don't just take, you give. You give him the gift of feeling powerful, sexy, wanted. You give him the freedom to be vulnerable without judgment. You give him the sense that he's not just a body to you, but someone you see, admire, and crave. That's the mark of a truly unforgettable woman, because sex at its highest level isn't about release, it's about transformation. When he leaves you, he doesn't just feel satisfied, he feels changed. Now, I want you to notice something about these 10 signs. None of them are about tricks or techniques. None of them are about whether you look like a model or whether you know some secret move. They're about connection, they're about presence, responsiveness, curiosity, confidence, variety, anticipation, emotional availability, adaptability, intimacy outside the bedroom, and leaving him better than you found him. That's the real checklist of a woman who is incredible in bed. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to master all 10 overnight. Even if you begin to embody just one or two more of these signs, you'll notice an instant shift in how men respond to you. They'll look at you differently. They'll crave you more deeply. And you'll feel different too, because these signs aren't just about making him feel good. They're about you owning your sensuality, your power, your femininity. Think about it. A woman who is present isn't just good in bed, she's good in life because she's not distracted by insecurity. A woman who's responsive isn't just sexy, she's alive, attuned to her senses. A woman who's curious isn't just a lover, she's an explorer. A woman who's confident in her pleasure isn't just attractive, she's magnetic. And a woman who leaves people better than she found them isn't just unforgettable in bed, she's unforgettable everywhere. That's the real secret. Being good in bed isn't a performance. It's a reflection of how deeply you allow yourself to connect, how willing you are to be vulnerable, how open you are to giving and receiving. And when you get that, you stop worrying about whether you're good enough and start realizing that you already have everything it takes to be extraordinary. So if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever thought, am I actually good in bed? Do I measure up? I want you to let that go, because the truth is, if you care enough to ask that question, you already have the mindset that puts you ahead of most. And if you're willing to apply even half of what I've just shared with you, then you're not just good in bed. You're the woman he'll never stop thinking about. That we've laid out all 10 signs. Let's step back and really imagine what it means to embody them. Because you might be listening to these and thinking, all right, I get it in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? How does it play out in the real moments between me and him? That's where the magic comes alive, because these signs aren't meant to be a checklist you run through in your head while you're in the middle of intimacy. They're meant to seep into you, to become a part of how you approach connection. So they flow naturally without effort. Picture this, you're with him, and instead of worrying about what you look like, you're truly present. You're feeling his touch, breathing in the way he smells, letting your mind and body soften into the moment. He can feel that you're not performing. You're not somewhere else in your head. You're right there with him. That's the first layer. Then imagine that every little thing he does gets a real response from you. He kisses your neck and you can't help but sigh. He runs his fingers across your back and goosebumps rise. He sees the effect he has on you and his confidence shoots up. Suddenly, he's not just touching your body, he's affecting your soul. Now add curiosity to that. You're not just lying back letting things happen. You're exploring him. You're learning the map of his body. You lean down and kiss him somewhere he didn't expect. You let your hand wander, testing, noticing what makes him shiver, what makes him grip you tighter. You whisper, do you like that? In a way that makes him feel like you're not just doing something to him, you're learning him, specifically him. That's intimacy. That's what men remember. And then there's confidence in your own pleasure. Imagine the difference between a woman who hides what she wants, waiting for the man to magically figure it out, and a woman who owns her pleasure. You tilt your hips because it feels better. You guide his hand without shame. You let out a sound not because you want to please him, but because it's overflowing from the genuine pleasure you're feeling. That's confidence, and it's sexy as hell. He feels like he's witnessing a woman who knows her body, who isn't afraid to embrace her desires. That inspires him, excites him, and liberates him to be more in his own body too. Then comes variety of expression. You don't limit yourself to one mode of being. Sometimes you're soft, slow, deeply sensual. Sometimes you're playful and teasing. Other times you're raw, passionate, almost animalistic. He never knows exactly which version of you is going to show up, but he loves that. Because each side of you feels authentic. Each side of you pulls something new out of him. With you, it never feels mechanical. It always feels alive. That's when sex stops being something you do and becomes something you co-create. Now let's layer on the second half of the signs. Anticipation. Think about the last time you really teased someone, how their whole body ached for you, how they couldn't wait another second. That's not cruelty, that's artistry. You're showing him that your power lies not just in giving, but in withholding and stretching out the tension until he's practically begging. A woman who can master anticipation doesn't just make sex hotter, she makes it unforgettable, because he remembers how badly he wanted you before he even got you. Then there's emotional availability. In a world where so many people hide behind walls, being open, being tender, being vulnerable is rare. But when you let yourself be emotionally present with him, when you look into his eyes and let him see not just desire, but affection, admiration, softness that touches him on a level far deeper than lust, most men, even the most confident ones, are starved for that kind of intimacy. You become the woman who doesn't just excite him physically, but nourishes him emotionally. And when he feels that, he bonds with you in a way that makes it almost impossible to let go. Adaptability is next. Maybe you notice tonight he's tired, he needs comfort more than wildness. You slow things down, you cradle him, you make the intimacy gentle, tender. Another night he's fiery, filled with energy, wanting something more primal, and you rise to meet that energy. You don't cling to one version of sex. You flow with him, meeting him where he is. And because you adapt, he feels like with you. He never has to fake or suppress himself. He can be exactly who he is in that moment, and you'll match him. That kind of safety is rare, and it makes him crave you more. Then intimacy outside the bedroom. This is where many women underestimate their power. The woman who touches his chest when she walks by him in the kitchen, who whispers something playful in his ear while they're out, who kisses him with fire even when there's no sex afterward. That woman makes intimacy part of everyday life. by the time they're actually in bed, he's already been seduced for hours. He feels constantly desired, constantly reminded that she sees him as her man, and that makes him obsessed with her. Finally, the 10th sign, you leave him better than you found him. That doesn't mean you take responsibility for fixing him or that you lose yourself in the process. It means that in your presence, he feels expanded. He feels more confident, more masculine, more capable. He feels like he matters, like he's desired, like he's powerful. That is the mark of a woman who is not only good in bed, but unforgettable in bed. Because long after the physical act is over, he's still carrying the glow of who he became in your presence. Now, let me say this again because it matters. You don't need to embody all 10 signs perfectly every single time. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about leaning into these qualities, letting them shape the way you show up. Because the truth is, you already have everything it takes. Being good in bed isn't about learning tricks. It's not about copying what you saw in a movie or magazine. It's about connection, presence, openness, and courage. It's about bringing your whole self, your body, your heart, your mind into the experience. And here's what happens when you dose. Intimacy stops being a question of, am I good enough? And becomes a truth of course I am, because I'm real. A man doesn't fall in love with you because you know some secret position. He falls in love because you make him feel alive. You make him feel wanted. You make him feel seen. And that's what every man craves, even if he doesn't say it. So if you've ever worried that you're not good in bed, I want you to remember this. Being unforgettable isn't about what you do. It's about how you make someone feel. And when you bring presence, responsiveness, curiosity, confidence, variety, anticipation, emotional openness, adaptability, intimacy in daily life, and the power to leave someone better than you found them, you are not just good in bed. You are the kind of woman who lingers in a man's mind and body long after the night is over. You are the story he never forgets. And let me leave you with this. Everything I've shared with you today isn't about trying to be someone you're not. It's about uncovering what's already inside you. These 10 signs aren't tricks to perform, they're truths to embody. They're reminders that your power in intimacy isn't about comparison or perfection. It's about connection. When you bring presence, responsiveness, curiosity, confidence, variety, anticipation, emotional openness, adaptability, intimacy outside the bedroom, and the gift of leaving him better than you found him, you stop worrying about being good enough and start realizing you already have everything it takes to be unforgettable. So here's my challenge for you. Don't just listen to this and move on. Take one of these signs, just one, and practice it this week. Maybe it's being more present. Maybe it's showing a little more responsiveness. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to own your pleasure without apology. Pick one and lean into it. Because when you do, you'll notice something incredible. Not only will the man in your life respond differently, you will feel different. You'll feel more powerful, more feminine, more alive. And when you feel that shift, I promise every part of your love life changes. You'll stop second guessing yourself, you'll stop overthinking, and you'll start experiencing intimacy the way it's meant to be, raw, passionate, deeply connected. That is the life you deserve. So don't wait, start today. Because you are already more powerful, more magnetic, and more unforgettable than you even realize. All you have to do is step into it.